Hi, good evening, guys, and welcome to this very special session on B school selection. The biggest challenge actually starts right now because it's almost like the end overs of a limited overs match or a T20 match. You have done extremely well for the first 80% of the game, but if you don't do this part of the game properly, you can end up screwing everything else up. Not only is the GD and the PI part important, you should also be very, very clear about which colleges to apply, what to expect from these colleges. You need to be extremely focused about what you want to do, especially when it comes to doing your MBA. To help us today, we have Shashank, who is like fresh out of ZAT. He seems to have done really well. He's not even bothered to check the scores. So let's see what comes out of his ZAT scores. And Sucharita, who's not so fresh out of an interview. Welcome both of you. Before I start off, a couple of things which I would like to tell you guys. If you are watching it on the app, on the Learnist app, you can download the sheet which we'll be discussing at the end of the session. We'll be uploading that session, that sheet which we'll be discussing. That will have all the cutoffs, tentative cutoffs, trend over the past 2-3 years of all the colleges which we'll be discussing today. Second thing which I like to say is that today is the last day to avail the anniversary offer on Top My Tests courses. So you can the coupon code is ANN1, and you can use it on our website and InstaMojo to make the payments if you want. If you are interested in joining our WhatsApp list, the number is also available, 91460 Just send a message over there. We will add you to the list. That part being done, let's go to the problem at hand. Now, the reason why India is so peculiar is unlike a GMAT examination where you can actually get your results and then decide which colleges to apply to. In fact, a lot of colleges abroad will actually give you what is called a CV guidance sort of a scenario where you actually send across your CV. They will tell you if you have a reasonable chance of applying. And usually their intake to application ratio is 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. So for every 3 or 4 applications that you get, they select one college or one candidate over there. However, in India, I mean, as we have a huge population, we also have a huge number of aspirants. The intake to the final intake to the application ratio soars. So it comes with a lot of problems. You had to apply to a lot of colleges before the exam itself, like for example, XLRI, Exam Bhubaneswar. Quite a few colleges close their applications even before even before you actually take the exam. That is one of the reasons why we stress throughout the year that please do your mock scores properly and keep an eye on the deadline of the colleges. Now, there are colleges which you cannot apply to. Leaving that aside, we would look at what are the colleges which you can apply to further. We will discuss about 60 to 70 odd colleges, not every college in detail, but at least a broad overview of 60 to 70 colleges which you can look at. But before we do that, I would ask both Shashank and Sucharita to start this off. How many colleges besides the IIMs, they are free of charge, right? I mean, you fill the CAT application, you can apply to 25 odd programs in the IIMs. Besides those, how many colleges should people apply to? I'll start with Shashank first in this case. What's your usual advice?
Okay. So considering what all colleges will be sort of safe bets, which you may or may not be interested in joining, but still you want to keep it at the back of your mind, and the ones that you can achieve. I think some 3 or 4 calls is what you can comfortably look at least from just the getting a call point of view. More than that, I think it becomes repetitive. 4 or 5 calls beyond the IIMs and everything. I think that is probably what I would be looking at.
For people who are not looking, I mean, who have scores which are they're probably not getting into an IIM. How many colleges will you look at for
if you apply to 7, 8, 10 colleges, you might end up getting 4 or 5. That's probably the ratio that I'm looking at. So again, at the end of the day, if you have 4 or 5 colleges to appear for the interviews, then I think
you should have a decent
worth an effort. If that,
Okay. So Charita, your advice?
I think so. I have a different answer to this because I will be actually basing my answer not based on a generalized perspective, but very target specific perspective. So depends on how many years of experience you have. So if you have more number of years of experience, like 3 to 4 years of experience, I would say this is your last attempt. After this, it would be a little difficult for you to be placed in India. So in that case, I would say apply to at least 6 to 8 colleges, depending again on your score. That doesn't mean apply to any kind of college. You need to understand that those are the colleges which can actually give you a decent placement, not only with respect to the monetary part, but also with respect to the profile growth part when you actually go and join a job in the corporate sector. So that is also very important. For people who are actually having experience, who have just freshly graduated, who have just graduated from college, or they have or they have maybe a 6 to 7 months gap. I think they all can always go and apply for one more time. So in this case, I will go with Shashank. What he said: 4 colleges, 4 to 5 colleges should be fine. Uh, and next, the third is basically the people who have given a gap. Now, because you have given a gap of 1 year, you need to justify the gap when you go for a GDPI round. And unlike a gap year which we have in India, sorry, abroad, there is no such thing as a gap year in India. It's still not that accepted in India at this point of time. So I think in that case, you need to be somewhere between, again, between what the last attempt people would be going for and between the freshly graduates. So somewhere around 5 to 6 colleges you should apply. So yeah, it depends somewhere in that line only. Yeah.
Shashank, what is your take? I mean, like, do people? I mean, I personally believe that you should not take any decision under pressure, whether it is either getting married or whether you are trying to join a college. I mean, you should have a choice, and we should be able to exercise that particular choice. Now, the problem happens is when people have just one option. Like, I mean, they don't have a job. I mean, especially people, as Sucharita mentioned, they have a lot of pressure on them because they have given a gap of about 6 to 8 months, and then they end up trying to get one college or two colleges. They're extremely conservative when it comes to applying to colleges. They're trying to save costs or anything like that, and they end up with just having one convert. Okay, or one convert, or maybe the second convert is a really it's not exactly an option. In that case, they end up choosing that particular convert. Do you think that that sort of a scenario actually holds? I mean, like, that pressure actually comes into picture?
no, I think, see, you should have sort of, as in the mocks and everything, the return scores, the reason why we're having this discussion. It's primarily because people should know where they fit in or what slots do they fit in. Now, again, today is not, or as in these couple of months are not really the time when you decide whether you want to join or don't want to join an institute or not. That comes after you have converted it. You can't accept or reject anything that you haven't been offered yet.
Yes.
So that comes a lot later. But again, as in, I would really love to have a few converts in my hand in, say, the month of April or May, whatever be the tier 1, tier 2, whatever be the level of the institute, and then probably we can decide whether it makes sense to appear for the test again because someone would not have prepared to his or her best in the last year, or you can probably take it up if you believe that preparing for another year will not really make a difference, or you can go the GMAT way if you have a lot of experience. So again, it depends on person to person, but I would definitely suggest that apply to as many colleges as is possible. Financially, practically, just look at what all things can you apply to, and then probably you can take a call at the end instead of delaying it.
And again, I got a lot of messages yesterday on like, should I start for CAT 2019 right now, or should I go to GMAT right now? Is it too early to have that discussion, Shashank? Or like, I mean, see, because in the heat of the moment, it should not be like another New Year resolution. Okay, my last year sucked, so today is the first of the year, and I will start off reducing weight or starting exercise. I mean, like, it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
I think so.
No, so the point is, see, CAT preparation is one part of the journey. GDPI is another. Now, it should not happen that you have identified all your gaps when it comes to CAT preparation, and you have overlooked GDPI completely. Next year, you are in February, you get those GDPI calls that you had dreamed of, and then you end up screwing up the interviews, and then you put in another year. That should not happen. So now is not really the time to start CAT preparation, because if someone would have gone through the drill and is not really happy with the colleges that he or she is getting, then definitely March or April is probably a good point to start preparation. For people who are confused between CAT and GMAT, I would suggest that if possible, you can take GMAT probably in the month of May or June. You can target those 2 months, so that it gives you a bit of a head start when it comes to your CAT prep 1. GMAT is much more organized, so it will probably you'll be able to take care of it in an efficient manner. And if you get a good GMAT score, then it always is a positive reinforcement when you are preparing for CAT next time. But again, the first thing is interviews, next GMAT, then probably CAT.
So how quickly should we start off with GMAT and CAT for the next year?
So I will go with Shashank with what he said. The GMAT again depends on which entry you're going for. If whether you're going for the fall or you're going for the winter. So I would say the people who are applying from September of 2019, they should actually be writing the GMAT by February, March, and they should have started their preparation by now. Now GMAT, the preparation it's pretty different than what it is in CAT. So I would first definitely suggest the students to give a mock GMAT in the GMAT website and then start their preparation depending on what scores they get. So ideally, based on the score, if you're getting around 650, 670, then 2 months of preparation is more than enough. If you're getting less than 600, then I would say you need at least 6 to 8 months to prepare for GMAT. As far as CAT is concerned, I would say we start right now. I mean, don't keep it till the last moment. See, my thing is very simple. My funda is very simple. If you start now, you have, even if you give 1 hour, 1.5 hour every day for CAT preparation, maybe just 1 hour, it's more than enough. Then you can allocate the rest of the time which you have for your academics or your work properly. But what happens if you start your preparation late, let's say in the month of May or June, that time you need to at least allocate 4 hours of your time every day for CAT preparation. And plus you also have other work, which is your academic, your projects, or working. If you're working in a particular company, you have the company work. So it becomes very difficult to balance your life. And as a result of which your efficiency goes down.
I think, I mean, the question was basically, should I ditch my CAT 2018 score and prepare for CAT 2019, or should I complete the GDPI interview round and then decide? I mean, this is for people who have already given CAT earlier.
Oh, okay. So yeah, in this case, I would definitely say that if you have given CAT, then prepare for your GDPI. If you have got a 50-60 percentile, I would say please go write your CAT next year again. Start preparing now on. If you have gotten an 85 above, I would definitely suggest you to actually sit for the GDPI round. I mean, I just got a question right now. A person with 89 percentile, he was asking me, should I go give next year? So I gave him the same advice that at least give it a shot, see how many colleges. You have pretty decent colleges which are there in that 89 percentile window which you can apply for. And then after GDPI, you can decide. If you still don't get into any decent college, you can always have the option of going for one more take. And a person getting an 89 percentile will definitely can expect a 90 percentile above if he keeps the same preparation which he had, or a better preparation than this time. So I think that is pretty much achievable even if he starts after GDPI. So I guess, yeah, I mean, you should definitely go for it.
And okay, and I'll put it to Shashank first, because Shashank knows the variations that happen from CAT from 1 year to the other. I mean, like 1 year you have everything and then you decide not to take it up. Next year you actually don't do it, and then you end up. So how do you make your, I mean, I know there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to whether I should take CAT again, or whether I should, okay, this is my last attempt, take the best college which I get out of this. How do you decide? I mean, we'll probably do something later in probably say April or May when people have to decide this. But how did you actually end up deciding, like, okay, I'm happy with my CAT results, or this is it? I mean, I don't want to spend my time over this again.
See, as in similar thing happened in my case as well. So I had a decent CAT percentile. I had a couple of converts, but I ended up putting in another year of prep and then went for a better institute. So the point is, you have to identify what went wrong and what all options do you have. So you should have some precedent, is what I feel. If you have scored a 90 percentile in one test or an 80-85 plus percentile in one of the tests, it means that you have some potential. If you have been flatly scoring 60 percentile throughout your mocks, throughout CAT, then you probably need to look at better options, or you need to make drastic changes in your prep. The more drastic changes you have to make, or the bigger jump you are trying to achieve, the more uncertainty it will be. There will be. So if you are looking to jump from an 85 percentile to a 95 percentile, I think practically it's possible. It's not very difficult. But if someone is trying to go from a 60-70 percentile to a 99 percentile, if you are
it's a
probably,
huge jump.
yeah, huge jump. If you are letting go of say a Somaya and you are looking for an IIM Ahmedabad, I think that there needs to be a bit more
Realistic. I mean, there has to be realism. I mean, more than
you have
anything
to be
else.
practical. But again, you have to essentially talk to someone who knows stuff and who is blunt and honest, probably, to get an opinion if you want to. It might not really be the happiest moment of your life, but practically, if it makes sense, then I think you should. People should talk to someone, is what I feel.
Okay, so Charita also has a very similar story. She actually joined a college. On the first day of the college, she actually packed the. I mean, she will not name the college, but she actually packed the bag and came back again, and then gave GMAT. So,
Yeah.
what's your? No. You will not tell the name of the college.
No, I'm not telling the name of the college, but I'm just saying that, everybody makes decisions. And yeah. I don't
Okay,
know.
so what's your opinion? I mean, like, why did you give up on CAT and take up GMAT?
I think I got a bit late because by the time I actually prepared, so while I was preparing, I was also doing my job, and I was also working, and I had a very, very hectic schedule. And for me, I like working more than I like studying. So my priority at that point of time was actually working and putting my entire effort at my work, which I was doing pretty well at. And by the time I actually gave CAT, so I already had about 3-4 years of experience, I guess. 3 years of experience, 3.5. And after that, I thought that the experience that I have at this point of time, it will be much more beneficial to me if I go for a study abroad program than studying in India. And I didn't have the academics to get into an IIM, frankly speaking. So I thought it's out of my reach. So it's better I go abroad, because the profile is very important when it comes to
Okay.
studying abroad. Yeah.
So okay. So now that we have had this preliminary discussion about how to apply to colleges, how many colleges to apply, how to go. I mean, you will probably have a rough idea to choose. Obviously, this is not a forum where we can answer every single question. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, because, see, the thing is, one thing which I would really suggest everyone to do is, end of the day, the decision has to be yours. You can talk to people, you can speak to a lot of people, but you need to be comfortable with your decision. And once you take a decision, don't look back. These are two things which I would like to say. I mean, it doesn't matter. See, I mean, there is a very nice English movie, if you want to see. It's called The Sliding Doors. Okay. So, I mean, a lot of people keep on thinking like this is the sliding door. So there is, there are a lot of Indian versions also. So what happens is, basically, there are two options possible in your life. And if that had happened, or this had happened, like, for example, if I had met a girl and married her versus if I met the second girl and married her, this would have happened. Don't ever think about it. I mean, those things don't happen in reality. If you have taken a decision, please go ahead and follow it through and through. There is no right, there is no wrong when it comes to this. Your reason should be, you should be comfortable with it, and you should look at it in a 5 to 6 year sort of a time frame as such. Now, the next part, again, before we go into the college-based discussion, just a broad sort of a discussion on specializations, which are there. There are a lot of people who have no idea about what the specializations are, and I hold this even today, is that even 80% of the people, even at pretty big colleges, have very little idea what their career is going to be. I mean, at least the number will be at least 70% plus, if not 80. I mean, probably things would have changed, but 70% of people are confused. I mean, it is very simple. If you go and look at the figures of people who leave MBA graduates straight out of top colleges who actually change their jobs within the first 1.5 years, you will yourself figure out that even those people who are supposedly perfect, uh, they also make a lot of mistakes, or they are also a little confused as such. Uh, so I'll start off with college choice versus specialization. Okay, this is my general opinion. Uh, we'll look at the opinion of Shashank and Sucharita in this. At least in India, if you have about 2+ years of experience, there is very little that you can do when it comes to switching over to a domain which you don't have an experience for. Very simple reason: if you have more than 2 years of experience, you basically are stereotyped over there. It's very difficult to jump to a core finance sort of a role or a core marketing, especially an FMCG sort of a marketing role. You can probably go into product management over there. You can probably go into consulting, strategic management, those sort of things. Or especially if you're in the IT domain, you can actually go into those domain expertise sort of a role. But if you have more than 2 years of experience, it's very difficult to switch over to a marketing or a finance, especially if you're not from that background. Uh, Shashank, do you think this theory holds even now?
Uh, I don't know. As in, see, I have seen people with 4-5 years of work experience getting into core sales roles
Mm-hmm.
at FMS. But again, uh, there is going to be some amount of disappointment. So for anyone with 2.5, 3+ years of work ex who asks me what it is like in a B school, summers are going to be painful. To be honest, in most cases, summers are going to be painful. You will have to have a really good CV one, or really good content probably, very good HR answers probably. So if you have those things, then you can hope for a good summer internship. But in most of the cases, 6, 7 cases out of 10, uh, you will end up getting placed a bit later compared to the other people. But finals is the real deal at the end of the day. The summer internship, of course, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much as where you get placed at the end. And then you will have a good 1.5 years to work on your CV. So if you put your effort in the right places, I always advise people. See, people tend to complain once they enter a B school, how the placement teams play politics, and how the B school is not great. In a parallel universe, you could have gotten into a better B school. Once you enter a school, there's no point cribbing about these things. So I would say that 1.5 years you get into the right committees, make the right decisions, and probably then you will be able to get placed. One. The other thing is regarding the specialization bit. So nobody, I think most of the people, as you said, don't know where they will end up. I had always thought that I will probably do a better job at finance because I was good at math. It was a very silly train of thought. The first day I realized that I was not meant for finance. And once you interact
And
with seniors,
this is after studying for about 2 years to get into a B school to study finance. That's what you're saying.
and when I got into a B school, I hadn't really thought of what I would be specializing in,
Mm.
because I had no background about either marketing or finance or operations or HR or whatever IT. But once when I entered, I had this thing that I would probably be a good fit for either consulting or finance, and I ended up doing something completely different.
Shashank actually ended up in what? FMCG
Yeah,
sales?
yeah, I was into pure sales. Ended up selling soaps. Ended up selling soaps. But as in the first 1 week or 20 days is when you will realize what you want to do or what interests you, and probably that is when you can decide, or at least have start preparing in the direction that you are interested in. Now is not really the time to choose specializations. Now is not really the time to worry about final placements. Both those things are a long way ahead.
So, Charita, your thoughts on how easy is it to switch? You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. So I think I broadly agree with what Shashank says. Um, but when it comes to choosing specialization, I would just like to differ a little bit. I'm sorry, Shashank. I think it's important that you also choose your specialization to a certain extent, at least have an idea about what you want to do right now, because there are a lot of colleges which are, I will not take a name of a particular college at this point of time, but there are some colleges which are good in specific areas with respect to the kind of companies that come in the college for placements, and the kind of activities which happen inside the college. So I think so if you have a broad idea about what specialization you want to go for, and which specialization suits you, I think if you could just have a broad idea about it will be beneficial for you to choose the particular college. Second, as far as switching from one particular specialization to the other, I mean, I think it completely depends on, as Shashank said, on how you actually perform. I mean, Shashank got into FMCG sales, then he switched. Switching is very easy if you have actually utilized those 2 years in the college. And a very big part of it is your internship, I guess. So if you can manage to bag an internship which is of the area of interest that you have, so let's say you are an engineer, you want to do marketing, hardcore product management, or let's say you want to do branding, you want to be a brand manager of a particular company's product, then I think it's very important that get an internship which is in the lines of the same same field. I mean, maybe something in brand management itself, because then it becomes easier for you. Maybe you can get a PPO and get the job, or it becomes easier for you to show that in your CV later on when you're applying for a full-time job. So that way it becomes pretty easy for you. Otherwise, I think, for people who have like 4 years of experience in a particular field, it might get a little bit difficult for them to switch, unless you can actually do something to get the internship of your choice. Yeah, in that way then.
Okay, that brings us to the next part, which before, again, this is just I'll take about 10 more minutes, 5 to 7 more minutes. We'll then quickly go through the colleges, because this is also very important when it comes to there. And this will also be a choice that a lot of people end up making right now itself, is that I will apply to a particular college because it is known for this. Now, honestly speaking, if you're going to get an IIM Ahmedabad and you want to do an HR, versus that if you are going to get an SCM HRD or even an XLRI, most likely I would choose IIM Ahmedabad any day. Because, I mean, just because IIM Ahmedabad is known for, say, a strategic consulting or anything, that doesn't mean that there'll be no HR roles over there, or there'll be no marketing roles over there. Just because IIM Calcutta is known for finance doesn't mean that the consulting roles or the marketing roles out of IIM Calcutta are going to be any bad. Just because FMS is known for marketing doesn't mean that some of the consulting roles which come up to FMS will not be the best possible roles. I mean, for the top 15 odd colleges, there is very little to choose from when it comes to them. I mean, they are very close to each other. You go to the best possible college as such. Now, as you go down the food chain, then it plays onto your mind. So this college is known for finance. There is no finance companies which come up over there. Shashank, how much of this is actually historically true, or because the placement committee never went and tried to get, I mean, so my college is known for marketing. Placement committee never went and tried for finance or consulting, and that's why they never come. I mean, it's a chicken and egg sort of a situation. See, what I usually feel is that if in terms of a finance sort of a company, I mean, for example, an ICICI bank will go to one of the top colleges in the country, and it will also go to a medium and probably your local B school, which you laugh at when you get the ads over there. But the roles will be completely different over there. I mean, so the role that you get in a top college versus the role that you get in a small college is very different. What I've seen is that the marketing companies usually are not that discriminating. They are discriminating to the fact that if they come to your campus for a management trainee role, you'll roughly get the same sort of a salary, same sort of a role as, say, another college. Prashant, do you think this is true, or like from your experience?
Placement is, as in I could go on and on. Like I was a part of the placement committee at FMS, so a lot of things happen, good things, bad things. So that's a different thing. But see, companies, again, it depends. You can't really look at one aspect and forget the other. Even when it comes to colleges, as you said, I would generally go for flagship courses in any institute. If you are getting, you can't really say that I will prefer IIM Ahmedabad over something else, because even if you have got an agribusiness management call, unless you are like extremely interested in that particular program. So And although IIM Ahmedabad is a bigger brand name than probably anything else in this country. But there has to be a mix. So flagship programs, I would prefer flagship programs. Specializations, again, XLRI, HR, if I am getting, and if I have like 1% interest in HR, if I am not 100% against a specialization, I'll probably end up taking an institute which has better credentials at that point in time. When it comes to placements, again, a lot of things happen across B schools, and there are a lot of reasons. So FMS traditionally had a batch of 60 people earlier. So there used to be 10 companies on campus. Now, when they increased the number of seats, the placement team had to go get out of campus and bring those extra companies on campus. That's why we ended up losing out on a lot of legacy recruiters at IIMs such as McKinsey, BCG, MBB, as we see. That sort of a thing happens, but again, people tend to catch up as time progresses. But every college will have its own history. We can't look at the placement report and say that I wanted to get into say a Standard Chartered, and Standard Chartered does not visit a particular campus, so I will not join that campus. That is too far-fetched. Even if Standard Chartered visits a campus, you can't really say whether you will be the one who will be getting into it or not, and whether if the college is on good terms that year, something happens behind the scenes and the company ends up not coming on campus. Too many variables involved. Can't really base your life's decision on whether one company or a couple of companies are coming on campus or not. And regarding marketing companies, they're definitely friendly, I think, because marketing companies typically have two rounds. They will have a GD and then an interview. So they end up shortlisting many people. If 100 people apply to a company, then probably they will end up shortlisting some 60, 70, 80 people probably. End up making taking 10 GDs of 8 or whatever, 8 GDs of 10 people each. And that's how they sort of give an opportunity to a lot more people compared to a finance company, something like say a Deutsche Bank or something else, DBS or Morgan Stanley or something, which relies mostly on interviews. So again, a completely different ball game. Marketing companies provide more opportunities, but
I have a question based on this only to Shashank again. See, I mean, there are a lot of people who want to do. Okay, this comes a lot when I interact with people who do these finance sort of. I mean, they wanted to get into finance. I mean, and Shashank at one point wanted to get into finance. Is that okay? I want to get into very specific role, which is treasury management or mergers and acquisitions or private equity or venture capital, those type of roles. So does this company come to campus, or can I get a role like this from say a tier 2 college or probably a non-IIM but a top 20 sort of a college, that sort of thing? I mean, like, how much of that, I mean, first of all, should somebody have that specific a role? There are very few people who actually know what the role involves.
Yep.
Okay. Even people studying in there they don't have a lot of idea about what the roles over are there. They just know they are like legends passed on from your seniors and something which comes up. And the second thing which goes on is you're basically running the rat race. Everyone is writing a CFA or the NCFM exam, and basically you want the best possible money sort of a role. So should people end up judging, I mean, like asking for a particular role in that particular campus as such?
it doesn't make sense. If someone looking at what Morgan Stanley front-end investment banking, chances are very less that you will be
two or three colleges.
Then there are ABC. If you look at it, there will be 100, 150 IITians, half of them gold medalists probably. There is a very high chance that you will not even be shortlisted for an interview. So again, can't really be that specific. If you are like really interested in front-end investment banking, and if you are from a tier 2 college, you have to show your resourcefulness. By the end of the day, you are doing an MBA, you have to be resourceful. You can always start from probably a smaller company like say an SBI Capital Markets, or even something like a Motilal Oswal, Singhi Advisors, very niche boutique investment banking companies. 1, 2, 3 years of work ex. People have made a switch to Goldman Sachs and JPMC and all. So basically the better companies that come to bigger colleges. So if you get into a tier 2 college, it's not really the end of the world. Again, a bit of LinkedIn stalking will definitely help you in that regard. People have switched, people have done well, as even colleges that, as you said, right, we don't name those colleges because of their embarrassing advertisements. People have come out of those institutes and are doing well, but then you have to be good at the end of the day. It might take a couple more years, but that's a call, right? You want to take CAT a couple more times and get into a better college, or you want to use those 2 years post your MBA to get better at your job. So that's again a toss between those two things.
Okay, so I will now start with this sharing of the data which is there. I will quickly run through. I think I've put up. Okay, so I quickly run through the admission criteria of the top IIMs. These are ABC, yeah, and basically Blackies, which is there. Okay, now a lot of this also involves your acads. I mean, while it says that you all you need is 80 percentile overall for a general category student and a 70% in sectionals for a general category student to get a call from IIM Ahmedabad, it is basically you cannot get a better clickbait than this. You'll probably have two people or three people who will probably qualify at that in a general category. Again, uh, we have done this discussion on the we have done this discussion on whether reservations should be there or not, or how much it is there. I do not want to get into that discussion. It's a fact of life which we are living with. That's about it. I mean, I mean, while this is a criteria as such, I would suggest you just have to wait for 2 or max 3 weeks where all the calls come up. One thing which I would suggest is IMK, please fill up IM KOI code. They will give you a call. They will ask you to, they will start collecting your data again somewhere around the end of January, where they'll ask you to fill up a form with your latest data. And remember, they are going to give this form to anyone who has, I think, about 85 percentile, 80 percentile or higher. So don't get too excited about it. Roughly about 40,000 people will be filling up that data. That is what I will suggest. A lot of people have written a lot of things about how much is required. If I have X percentile in 10th, Y percentile in 12th, and Z percentile in graduation, a lot of these colleges have started normalizing. So basically, it depends also on your board. There was a time when IIM Ahmedabad did not normalize. Even IIM Ahmedabad has started normalizing. I would not have any further discussion on this because this is just for your information. It will be there on the homepage. What we can go is go to the new IIMs, which is it. Now, Shashank, quickly, I mean, there are the new IIMs and then there are the baby IIMs or the new IIMs, so to speak. Obviously, in terms of vintage, the new IIMs, they have started doing well. And I think Sucharita also has had this advantage. She has interacted with quite a few people from the from the new IIMs. So I'll start with Sucharita. I mean, out of the new IIMs, which ones do you think are the best? Say from a Ranchi, Rohtak, Trichy, Raipur. You have muted yourself. Sucharita, you have muted yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm also replying to the chats at the same time, so I have to mute the calls and then reply. So sorry. Yeah. So out of the new IIMs, I would say Trichy, and I would talk about I would say Raipur. These two are
Ranchi.
sorry, Ranchi. Yeah, I would go with these two because I have myself interacted with a lot of students from there, and I have also interacted with the students from the rest of the new IIMs. But I mean, the difference is pretty much evident with respect to the kind of profiles that they go through, the profiles that the students have. I mean, you should always go to a college where you know the peers are better than you, not that you are better than the peers. Because in that ways you get to learn a lot of things from them, and the kind of backgrounds the students have, academic as well as professional backgrounds, the variety. So I think all these factors taken into consideration. Faculty is also a very big part, but I guess it's your peers that you stay 24/7 with. I mean, faculties are very very important, but you get to learn a lot more from the people you're interacting with, and I think that is very important. So with respect to that, I would go with Trichy and Raji. Yeah.
Okay, Shashank, what's your take on the new IIMs?
Now, again, I have heard a lot more news from Ranchi, Trichy, probably Udaipur compared to the others. So that would definitely be top of the mind, recall, that sort of a thing.
So, if I were to, I mean, I know rankings are not a good thing to do, but say if I were to put it somewhere around, so would you say this Ranchi, Trichy, etc., would be somewhere around? Should I leave, say, an IFT Delhi and go to these colleges?
I think IFT Delhi is probably a better bet, I guess.
Okay, so should I
And
leave an
IFT,
NMIMS? Should I leave an NMIMS Bombay?
that's a top up. NMIMS, SIBM, SCM, HRD, probably that will
So they
be
are
a
roughly the same level as a
probably.
top in MAT and Snap. Yes.
But they
Okay.
have
See,
what locational advantage, and also
yeah.
It's a fair call. Either way, you will be doing the same thing in your life. That doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. Okay. What about the new IMs? I have very little idea. I mean, see, the thing is, okay, the best analogy which I got for the new IMs was something like this. About 5 years ago, I had, at that time there were no new IMs, and uh, the new IMs were there, say a Ranchi, Trichy, etc. So there are people who had converted. I mean, this is from BITS Goa. People had converted. They said like, I mean, at BITS Goa, we are always considered like second grade citizens compared to a BITS Pilani campus. We don't want to suffer the same thing in an IIM also. I don't want to go to an IIM Ranchi and not think of me as the biggest IIM. I mean, because there are so many IIMs, so the moment you say IIM, people tend to think like you are from one of the old firm IIMs, so to speak. So do these new IIMs, like baby IIMs, I mean, some of the locations which they are in, they look very exotic travel locations as such. I mean, like,
Exactly.
yeah, you have a Jammu, I mean, yeah, Kashipur and all these things. I mean, I'm not sure what exactly they thought of, but still, I mean, where will you place the new IIMs, like say a Bodh Gaya, an Amritsar, a Vizag? Where will you place them? I mean, roughly the same level as a KJ, or probably better than a KJ?
I think probably better than a case. As in, see, the point is what Suchaita said is perfectly fine. If you are better than as in, if your peers are better than you, then you will end up learning a lot. But it works the other way around as well. If you are probably dominating the batch, or if you are pretty strong in your head, you have a chance to be a
Get the
part of
best
legacy.
placement. Yeah.
And you get to be a part of all the activities basically. So there will be a lot of work that will be done on campus from your end. Whereas in probably something like an Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, the legacy has already been set. You will be a part of the committees, but you might not be able to give that breakthrough idea or play a big part in the in sort of deciding the way ahead for a campus, which you have in case of the new baby IIMs basically. So if you are basically looking at something like a family business or an entrepreneurship, that sort of a thing, it might you might not want to let go of these institutes. Uh, from a ranking perspective, I think probably I would say that someone can choose SIBM, SCM, HRD over Amritsar, Bodh Gaya, Sambalpur, Vizag, and all those places, because I haven't really heard a lot of positive things from these institutes. As in the news that I have
The
heard is,
news said like some of, I think it was again, I can be sued, so I will not say. In one of the new IIMs, they had very little placement assistance as such. That is one of the.
people were, as in they people a lot of people had withdrawn their admission. That was one news that came out. The people were placed in some makeshift rooms because the hostel was not up, and there was some shooting that happened because the marriage was happening. So I haven't really heard a lot of positive news from these institutes. That's why I think perception wise it's not really right at the top, but it will take time. If you can be the one to go inside and create something for the institute, brilliant, nothing like it. I know people who were in Trichy in their first or second batch, and they ended up impressing the guest of honor during their convocation ceremony and got a good placement. So that sort of things, those sort of things can happen. It depends on how resourceful you are, how driven you are to do something. But yeah, I would probably look at Symbiosis or something. Uh,
Okay. Now comes the bone of contention, because see, right now it's all free. I mean, IIMs, you don't have to pay a single rupee. Now, everything which comes from now on, you have to pay and then decide. So that is when people start quibbing over it. Should I pay this much amount to get into this college, etc.? So before we go to the next set of colleges like an FMS or anything like that, I mean, hands down in that case, FMS and JB basically win, because if you look at the fees there, I mean, none of the other colleges can compete with them. How much should we look at that ROI? I mean, I know FMS is a huge it's a huge advantage. I mean, today, if I have a 20 lakh rupee loan versus I start with probably 50,000, which I have to pay for, I mean, what is it? Still 20,000, if I'm not mistaken. Is it still 20,000, the
No,
fees?
no.
FM?
Acha, FMS, yeah. I
It's
think
still
so.
20,000. Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's like a huge advantage, but it's like only about 50 odd people, I mean, 100 people who will probably get in there. But beyond that, how much does an ROI come into picture? Especially, okay, let me bring up the set of colleges which will probably we are talking about. We are talking about, say, an IIFT Delhi, an SJM SOM, an IIT Delhi, Kharagpur, Madras. JBIMS is again the FMS sort of a range. MDI, NITI, all these colleges again. Like, how much should I decide based on the fees? Like, for example, MDI, the fees is about 22 lakhs. If you take the international program which is there is about 25 lakhs, another 5 lakhs added to it. NMIMS is about 21-22 lakhs. XLRI is about 20 lakhs. Exam Bhubaneswar is extremely expensive. If I go to these sort of colleges, I mean, how much should I look at ROI, and what sort of an ROI figure should I look at? Start with Shashank first.
Um, See, as in you can't calculate ROI, the tradition, as in like how people like.
I mean, you cannot look at average salary divided by the fees.
Because
Like,
you will earn for like what 30-35 years. You will make use of that brand name that you have got. So you can't really say that if I don't earn X amount by investing X amount in over 2 years, I expect to earn it over 1 year, and then I say that nay, it's what barely 50, 55, you see 70% of whatever I've invested. It doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest. So I would again say that if it's the best institute that you are getting, if you are really serious about doing an MBA, the cost is something that you will have to pay. It's not an option, right? You can probably look at free scholarships that are offered by a lot of institutes. If you are if you are not
financially
very
not well
comfortable,
off. Yeah.
if you're not very comfortable paying it, bank loans and all you can pay off, as in unless you don't really do a great job at the institute. Most of the people will end up settling their loans
Loans within 3 to 4 years, I guess.
3, 4, 5 years probably. Yeah. So that is always possible. I would probably look at, as in, if it's the best institute for me, if I'm getting into some institute X, and if I believe that that is the best institute for me, I will not be able to better this if I prepare for another year as well. And I'm really serious about doing an MBA right now. Then I'll probably go for it, irrespective of.
Okay, so of all these colleges which are there, which one would you? I mean, I know FMS has a huge advantage over there because of the fees. Which will be like the top 5 institutes from these over there? I mean, you don't need to rank. I mean, if you want to rank them, but top 5 from there.
Most of it, as in, most of them are like pretty good, right? And again, it depends. See, SGM SOM, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Madras, NITI will be all engineering people who are engineers. If people are scoring above 97, 98 percentiles, have more than 91 percentile in each section, NITI makes sense. NITI and IIT Bombay probably are, I would
Best
probably
for
be
operations
keen
or
on
something.
getting into these from an operations perspective, of course. From an HR perspective, TIS Mumbai and XLRI Jamshedpur will be over and above everything else. So again, if someone is particularly keen on HR, then these are the ones that you can target. General MBA, I think FMS, MDI, IIFT are again good. JBIMS, again, this year I think they are going ahead with the same thing. All India seats, I think they have scrapped for this year as well.
That's really
Yeah,
crappy.
that is contentious, but still, SPGen again depends on your profile. So each of these institutes has its own sort of DNA, so to say. So whichever fits your thing, as in you can go ahead with it. But all the institutes that you had mentioned, I think they are sort of probably on equal lines. Probably XIMB, IIT Kharagpur, I might be a bit more careful. But the rest, I think, are almost on equal footing, except for a few things here and there, of course.
So, Charita, what is your view on these institutes? Unmute.
Which institutes are you talking about?
The top 20, other top 20 colleges, the third sheet.
And what specifically are you asking me?
I mean, like, if you were to choose 5 best colleges out of them, which will be the 5 best colleges out of?
Top 20.
Yeah, other top 20.
Okay, so I would definitely choose the ones which Shashank just talked about. I think it also depends on specialization. For example, if you're interested in operations, I would say IIT KGP and NITI is definitely a college you should look at. SIBM Bangalore, SIBM Pune, Pune. For human resources, you should definitely look at SCMHRD, TISNET. You need to write the TISNET exam for Tata Institute of Social Sciences. IMI Delhi is doing pretty good in HR as well as
It's in the next one. Yeah.
operations as well. So again, it depends on what kind of specialization you want to go for. I mean, it's not only based on the top 20 colleges. I mean, if you just ask me what colleges you want, you will.
No, I said out of the other top 20, which will be the five which you'll choose.
You really need to specify which top 20 are you talking about. I mean, I'm not getting your question at this point of time.
Yeah. Okay. So you're looking at FMS, IFT, SJM, SOM, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Madras, Jamnalal Bajaj, MDI, NITI, NM, SP Jain, SCMHRD, SIBM Pune, TIS, XIM Bhubaneswar, and XLRI Jamshedpur.
So I will say FMS Delhi by default. This FMS Delhi come into practice. I also already gave my answer about the operations part. So if you're interested in operations, you're an engineer, NITI is the one. If you're interested in HR, this is the one. XLRI Jamshedpur, human resource management. I mean, XLRI goes and FMS goes by default. So is Jamnalal Bajaj. IIFT is one other college. So these are the colleges which I would definitely be looking at, irrespective of whichever specialization you want to go for. And definitely IIT Delhi and all these colleges.
Okay, so let me start this round with you. If somebody gets any of these colleges, should they stop and go for the top IIMs like say an Indore or a Kozhikode or a Lucknow or an AB or a C?
If it's an ABCL, I think
No. They have gotten this year. Should they actually try for it next year?
No, I would say go for this year, these colleges itself. I mean, all of you need is a decent college which can give you a decent exposure to the industry, a decent job, a decent profile. And I think these are colleges have proven themselves again and again and again over the years that they have done really, really well. And I think, obviously there is always a second chance, but it all depends on the right time. So as we say, MBA and getting a job and taking the right decision is all about the right time and the people you actually get yourself exposed to. And I think these are the colleges where you get exposed to a you get exposed to the cream of students, cream of management aspirants and professors. And I think you should definitely take it. Yeah, you should definitely.
Okay, Shashank, same question to you. I mean, so if somebody gets these, should they try again and go for the top IIMs again, or like?
See, personal experience. As in, I got through JBIMS, didn't take it up, didn't go for MDI's process, skipped IMA, FABM as well, agribusiness. But that was because I had a precedent. And again, it comes back to that. What frame of mind you are in. I know people till date, people call me crazy. I have seen people leaving Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode and taking that again in pursuit of ABC. So it depends on the context. I can't say that join JBIMS to someone who has a 90, 90, 90 throughout. IIT Bombay graduate probably working in Goldman Sachs or something. I can't say that join JBIMS or join something else that one is not comfortable with. But again, it completely depends on what your perspective is. For someone, JBIMS might be a brilliant institute. For someone, it might not be. So again, but you should have something that tells you that you will be able to do it. Either you would have done well at entrance test. So I had done really well at the entrance test that year. I had a 98 odd percentile at the CAT that year, 99.96 ZAT, 99.7 odd at FMS. So I had done well throughout in all the tests that year. So I sort of knew that written test is not really an issue. But of course, if I prepare for one more year, if I work somewhere and build my profile or build my answers rather than in that period, then I will probably be able to get a better institute. That was my thought process. If I had no precedent, I would have probably ended up joining the best institute that I had. But if you genuinely believe that you can do a bit better after putting in a year of effort, then you can let go of even of something like an IIM Lucknow as well. It's not something.
I've seen people leave IIM Lucknow and wait for another year.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it has also happened that people left IIM Lucknow, got into IIM Lucknow the next year, and then they took it up. So there are no guarantees in life, right? You can't say that I will ditch IIM Lucknow and I will get something better. I ditched CAT 1 year, next year I ended up screwing it up. The next year I ended up doing really well at the CAT. So end of the day, there is a bit of external factors. There are a few external factors that are involved, a bit of luck, everything, as in mental peace of mind and everything. So
Okay.
there are no guarantees, but once again, as you said, right, one should make that call, just stick to it and don't look back.
One thing about I would, before I go to the next set, is that one thing which I would like to say is that all the IITs have started opening their processes. FMS is closed. JB, as Shashank said, is basically JB is basically not going to take all India candidates at all. MDI is closed. NITI is still open. NM, once the results come out, you'll have to again pay 500 or $1,000 to attend the GDPI process. SPGN, the profile results have come out. SCM, HRD, SIBM is closed. TIS, the exam is next week. I think next week, right? Next week or the week after. It's there. Exam Bhubaneswar is closed. XLRI is closed. So, I mean, if you have not applied to any of these colleges from over there, we will send it out again, the scores, etc. Just only the IITs are open. IITs and NITI is open. Just to quickly go through that, IIT Bombay roughly needs about 98.5, 99 odd percentile overall, no sectional cutoffs. IIT Delhi roughly closes at around 95, 96. I'm talking about general category. We also have the other category scores as well. IIT Kharagpur has a composite score based thing. They will calculate your 10th and 12th and graduation scores as well while they're considering your profile. Okay. While they're considering your application. Now, the last set of colleges, and a lot of these colleges basically have their applications, they're going to open up again. I mean, like, for example, an IMT Ghaziabad, or say for example, TAP.me, etc. They'll have probably one set of deadlines, and they usually open it up again after the CAT results have come out, which is there. So please go through all of them over there. A lot of these colleges are what we call fallen angels. They used to be really good at a point of time. They have now fallen into sort of like a lower sort of a lower sort of a place. They can turn around, probably they may not turn around. A lot of them are new colleges which are coming up over here. I'll start with Sucharita first this time around. Sucharita, from the last set of colleges which you have, which of the colleges stand up to your mind? The BIM Trichy, 4 Delhi, GIM, etc. That sheet. Which of these stand up to your mind? Which you think that people should apply
to? Again, I would say the same answer. I mean, my answer is not going to be different than the previous answer. Again, it depends on the specialization you want to go for. So I would definitely start with the Great Lakes PGPM program for 1 year. If you have 24 months of experience, over 24 months of experience, please go for this college. This is an amazing college. Within 1 year, you finish your MBA, and this college has been ranked to be one of the best 1 year programs in India after the IIM's PGPEX, Accelerize GMP, and ISB's 1 year program. So this is an amazing college, so please go for it. Great Lakes PGDM is also good, but I would definitely suggest the Chennai campus for this first, and then you can apply for the Gurgaon campus, but first preference should definitely be the Chennai campus. IIT Kanpur, IIT Roorkee, I'm not very fond of these two colleges. I'm so sorry about that. IMT Ghaziabad, IMI Delhi. IMI Delhi, as I've already said, for operations and for HR, it's doing pretty well. IMT Ghaziabad, marketing finance, it's an amazing college. IRMA, rural management, It depends entirely on the people who wants to pursue rural management. So just for the sake of applying for this college, just don't apply. Only if you're interested in rural management, go for it, ma. KJ Somaya is a decent college with respect to placements and the factors which usually fall into place. The best part is the location. It's in Mumbai, and it's in a very, very prime location. So I think that's a good college to apply for. Just one piece of advice for the people who have more than 4 years of experience, I would say that you need, I mean, if you have an option of choosing IMT Ghaziabad, Great Lakes, PGPM, and KJ Somaya, please go for the PGPM program of Great Lakes, then IMT Ghaziabad, and then KJ Somaya. So this should be your way. In this should be the way in which you choose the college. MICA specifically, if you're interested in marketing communications, go for it. It's an amazing college. But MICA has a very strict process as far as I've heard from my previous students. They require some amount of experience in marketing communications. You need to be extremely creative and innovative, which they actually look at when they are interviewing you. So it depends a lot on how you perform in an interview. But it's an excellent college. SDA Bukoni Asia Center, it's one more college which is an amazing college which has been doing very well. The best part of this college is they have a 4-month they have a 4-month program in Milan itself in SDA Bocconi, and the exposure is an international exposure. They give a lot of preference to the profile, so yes, I would say go for it. SIBM Bangalore, SIBM Pune, and SIIB Pune, I would definitely choose SIBM Pune any day over Bangalore and SIIB. Then I would choose SIIB based on international business. So if you're interested in marketing, I would say SIIB, and then I would say SIBM Bangalore. TAPME, I think TAPME is a decent college, but what I'm a little worried about it is the same as if, I mean, the number of students, they have I think close to 380 to 400 students, right, if I'm not mistaken. So what happens is getting placed at the right place where you want to becomes a bit difficult. But otherwise, if you can be on the top 25 to 30% of the class, I think you will do pretty well in TAPME, and you can definitely keep that as a backup. I'm sorry, I forgot Goa Institute of Management. So sitting in Goa, I forgot Goa Institute of Management. Yeah. So marketing, finance, GM. Yeah, you can go for GM. 4, I think I've already talked about. So again, it all depends on if I had to rank the top colleges that you can go for in this particular list. So I would say IMT Ghaziabad, Great Lakes, KJ Somaya, SIBM Pune, SIIB Pune, and 4 Institute of Management.
Yeah. Okay. I think I made one mistake. I think I put SIBM Pune in both the lists. I think SIBM Pune should be in the previous list, and that's my mistake. I'll correct that part. Shashank, these colleges usually, I mean, okay, before I ask this question, just one thing. I think GIM's application dates are over. In fact, their achievers round has actually come up. All the others, I think the SIBM, the SNAP colleges, the top SNAP colleges, their dates are over, or just check the dates over there. Those might be over. All the others are probably still open. MICAT 2 is coming up very soon. IRMA is basically now they have the issues of social concern, so check that out. Shashank, any word of caution or advice in this sort of a list? I mean, you can not consider SIBM Pune. I think it's wrong. It's mentioned in both the lists.
Yeah, you can probably go with something like an NM Bangalore or an NM Navi Mumbai, that sort of a thing.
Okay.
In that league, basically, SIBM Bangalore, SIIB.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in the same league. But again, as in, see, these institutes, as you said, right? IMT Ghaziabad especially. That is one institute that used to be talked about in the same breath as MDI Gurgaon. MDI IMT used to be sort of.
I mean, I just to give you an example, I mean, in 2002 when I wrote CAT, I mean 2001 CAT, which I wrote, I mean, I was advised, like, at that point of time, IMT Ghaziabad, MDI, they are both roughly the same level. And today, I mean, I'm very sure, I mean, even the IMT Ghaziabad guys will accept that it's at least 10 to 15 ranks between them, definitely, for sure. Goa Institute of Management used to be extremely good at that point of time. It has gone down in ranks. I mean, it has recovered a little bit, but it's still, I mean, the where it used to be like almost on par with an MDI or an SCM HRD, they have slid. Both these institutes have slid quite a bit over there. So, besides those, anything
So,
that you like?
IMT Ghaziabad, IMI, those are in that 90 to 95 percentile range when there are very few options basically. If someone is scoring what 93, 94, 95 percentile, you don't really have as many options as you have in that 95 to 9900 percentile.
Yes.
So, IMT, IMI, probably a Great Lakes, XIMB, all these are in that league, which you can probably target if you are in that range. Around the 85 to 90 mark, in between those, I think you will have all your TAPME, Simsar, Somaya, basically. Nirma probably in that range or slightly below that.
Nirma is, yeah. I've not actually mentioned Liba, Nirma, Wellinkar, all those colleges. I had to choose 20. So this is my subjective list of 20. So yeah.
But again, and it's similar. Again, in that 90s range, you also have your Delhi University colleges, DAC.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to speak about that. I mean, what happens to those colleges? I mean, those colleges are again those extremely, okay, I should not use the word cheap, but they're all cost effective. I mean, the fees is probably like 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs max. Delhi University, 40 seats. I mean, but they're all in the shade of probably FMS, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to like the DFS, the SRCC, GBO, all those programs. I mean, like I mean, there are a lot of institutes like say a Time or a CL or an IMS. They rank them very high in their rankings. A lot of that is because of the ROI component which is there. And see, in these institutes, you have to look at the fees a little bit because I mean, some of the fees are really, really exorbitant. Always look at the entire charges in terms of tuition and your stay also, your boarding also. I mean, some of the colleges are really, really expensive over there. But yeah, I never knew anything about that Delhi University colleges. What is your idea about the Delhi University
See, again, the rankings, they jump in those rankings because, again, the batch size is very small. So people end up, the CAT cutoffs end up being a lot more than, say, something like a TAPME or something in those league, 85 to 90. It's above 90. In some cases, people even say that 95, 96, you should apply to these institutes. But that is primarily because of the batch size. It's a very small, as in the batch size are really small. I think at one point it used to be about 60 people, 50, 60 people. Then again, you have
5 people, some of them are 45. Like
very few people. D school again, and D school and all are like more well known for their undergrad programs rather than PG programs. So D school and FMS share a wall, but we haven't heard a lot. We didn't really hear a lot from the other side of the wall. So especially in case of an MBA program. So again, very few people. So you will not see that amount of excitement. Like so that's why again it's a good thing. Peaceful MBA. You will just go there. You will spend a lot of time studying. You will be in a good place, Delhi University and all that. That is a good thing. But when it comes to placements, I think they are not really. They will fall back behind, say, an FMS, MDI, IMI, IMT Ghaziabad.
Definitely,
IIM Rohtak. All these institutes will be a bit above these colleges. So that is probably the bad thing about these institutes.
And they don't have a lot of, if I'm not mistaken, they don't have any sort of alumni network. I mean, a huge alumni network. Like, say, for example, whether you are from an IMA or an IMC or an IML, there are pan IM meets. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why the IMs have grown as a brand is because of the size of their alumni network. I mean, I know there are a lot of guys who will not, a lot of IIM Ahmedabad guys will not probably call an IIM Calcutta. I mean, we had one such people. But yeah, but there are also pan IIM networks and there are jobs which are available only for the IIMs. I mean, there is nothing which is available for these type of smaller institutes, right? I mean, like.
That is again there. But again, the batch size is probably the thing. Even FMS, I think, as I said, right, it's suffered. 50, 60 people are there. You will only call what? TAS, Standard Chartered, Citibank, HUL, PNG, ITC. That's it. End of story.
And your job and your batch is placed.
You never end up going beyond those things. So again, similar thing. I think I'm sure it will be happening in case of a D school or an MIB, MH program, MFC, those programs basically. SRCC GBO is a completely different thing. As in, if someone is into those in that particular interested in that particular role, GBO, then probably it makes sense. So it's better if someone goes through that their website and their course and everything, and then takes a call. Coming back to these institutes again, which ones to apply, which ones to not, which ones to take, which ones to leave, again, completely up to people. As in, people do their MBA. At the end of the day, people do their MBA from whatever institutes, even institutes below this, right? Institutes that were not mentioned. People do their MBA. People are successful in their life. So it's not really a concern. But if you're not getting anything better, and if you are sort of content with what you're getting, then go for it. Don't really waste another year, I would say.
So Charita, last words before we end.
Oh my God, last words. Oh,
No, because you have been speaking for quite some time, even on the interview also. So I will not take a lot of time.
I feel I'm a little disoriented now because I've been like speaking too much today. Last words I would say first is just do not go on applying for colleges. It makes no sense. Have a proper plan, first of all. Choose the colleges that you feel you should be going with. And a lot of students have already sent me their advice on what to apply, how to apply, what to do. So the list of colleges based on your percentile that we have suggested, and maybe the other mentors have suggested. So please go with that list. Understand what specialization you want to go for. Go for it with respect to that. So I have seen a lot of students saying that I want to do an MBA, and it doesn't matter if I want to do an MBA, a rural management, or anything else. I just want to do it because the college is offering me an MBA. I mean, you need to choose wisely because this is a career choice that you have at this point of time. And if you make a wrong decision, then it's not going to be pretty, pleasant for you in the long run. So I think that's something which I want to say. As far as I wanted to answer this question, but I did not get the opportunity to answer. So if Vivek, you give me the opportunity. Yeah. So the question is with respect to choosing the colleges with respect to the ROI. You had a question with respect to ROI. Yeah. So I would say that always think about the colleges with respect to the package that you get at average placements, and then what you're actually going to how much expenses you will be having. So always keep in mind 5 factors. One is the loan interest. Second is your lifestyle in the metro cities. So definitely you will not be staying in a village. I mean, you will definitely be placed either in Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, or the NCR region. So it's going to be pretty expensive with respect to the real estate part. So consider that as an expense. Consider your lifestyle as an expense, because after MBA, definitely you need to have a certain lifestyle of yours. And keeping all this in mind, plus you need to also ensure that now that you have invested so much of money in MBA, you need to also have a particular savings so that you can show it to people that yeah, मैंने कुछ तो बचाया है MBA करने के बाद, नौकरी करने के बाद, ऐसा नहीं कि time pass किया. So all these things needs to be kept in your mind when you're going for your MBA and choosing the colleges. And most importantly, what I would definitely suggest, no, I mean, it's a fact, Vivek. I mean, if you believe it or not, all these things.
I'm nodding in appreciation.
Yeah, and when you're actually going for an MBA and you're going for a job, you need to actually maintain a certain kind of, image, because you cannot be shabbily dressed, and all these things needs to be taken into consideration. It requires quite a lot of expenses. So I think all these things needs to be taken into consideration when you are choosing the colleges that you want to go for. And most importantly, what Shashank said is how you perform in the industry and what kind of profile, what kind of growth you have for the job that you're going for. So it's possible that you work in a very big company, but you're working in the back end process where you hardly get any time to interact with your clients. It's much better to actually start with a middle management company where you get a lot of responsibilities yourself, and then take a jump and go for a different company. So I think that is very important. So take all these factors into consideration when you're choosing a college, and then take the right decision.
Okay, Shashank, final words.
As in, same thing. As in, you have to be practical. That is the word, right? At the end of the day, to sum it up, as in, I can't say that go for this college, don't go for that college, pay this much amount of fees, don't pay that much amount of fees. It's not really that. It's extremely personalized. At the end of the day, people who are going for an MBA have to take that call. As in, it starts right now. Decision making under uncertainty. That will be extremely personal. Of course, I would suggest that once these entire, as in now, to don't really focus on anything else. Just focus on preparing. Prepare a CV, prepare your current affairs, everything. Get done with it, and then probably you can have bust a few B school myths that you have, right? People want branding roles, but typically you don't really get into branding right away. You have to do that sales stint, and it's practical in a way. Not everybody gets into an MBB or a Morgan Stanley. Not everybody gets a 2 lakh per month internship.
Yeah.
Those things will always be there. So I would suggest that don't really get into these sort of things. Don't let these things influence your decision. Just focus on one part that you have to clear an interview. That's it. Keep it as immediate as that. Don't think of 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. People have this habit, right? They will say that for every mark that you score less or every question that you answer incorrectly in a process, you are what? The honeymoon destination shifts from some Maldives to Matheran, that sort of a thing. There are a lot of things like these. Can't really be materialistic at this point in time. Just be practical, prepare hard, aim at outthinking the interviewer, and you should be fine, I guess.
I will, before I thank both of them, I have just one thing which I would like to say. And see, all this process, while it's extremely serious, probably about 5 years down the line, you would be laughing that you actually had to go through this much amount of trouble to actually go through it. Honestly speaking, in 5 years' time, most of you would not be even thinking about how I actually selected my MBA school. Because I mean, you would always be having your college reunion and you would be reminiscing the best days of your college and all those things. So while you have a very big, very important decision in your life, remember it is just one part of your entire 30, 35 years of your career. This will help you a lot. I'm not saying it will not help you a lot. This can set back if you don't choose wisely. But if you say that this is the only reason you're going to fail, I will not believe that. This is a 30, 35-year-old career that you're looking at. So choose wisely, don't overthink. More than anything else, you need to decide, why do you want to do an MBA? What do you exactly want to do in next 3 to 4 years, irrespective whether the college is there or not, professionally, what you want to do. That'll be my words. I'll really thank Shashank and Sucharta. It's been a very long session, especially for Sucharta when she has actually had quite a bit of talking to do today over there. Before I stop, please do share these videos with your friend who are applying for these colleges. Today is the last date for the anniversary offer on our courses for GDPI and 2019 CAT. We'll meet you again soon on MBA Prep Talk. Thank you very much.
Sujaita wants to say.
Yeah.
Rick, I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
So for the people who have
Sent the profile sheet.
whose chat were not answered because I had quite a lot of chats to answer.
Mhm.
I was also speaking, so it was a little difficult for me. So you guys can send me an email at itopmytest@gmail.com with your graduation scores, your academic scores, and your CAT percentile with the sectional, so that we can suggest you the colleges. I mean, it's pretty difficult to reply to all the chats, at the same time while you're speaking. So sorry for that if I've missed anyone.
And as we discussed today, if you don't send us the complete information, you'll get the incomplete answer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have to, I mean, there is a reason why we are asking for this, and we all discussed, right? I mean, two people getting the same CAT scores may not have the same aspirations as such. So please do that. Thank you very much. Take two. Good night.